All right, guys, welcome back. We are back at it. We are talking top 10 non-consensus fantasy football wide receivers here on the show. I'm excited to dive in and talk wide receivers. If you have not watched the running back show, go back and watch that. Just released that yesterday. I'm excited to dive in and rip into the consensus. And what you got to realize, guys, the way that the rankings were last year, the way that these players finished is not going to be the way that they're going to finish this year. You got to account for, variances, different teams, different quarterbacks, different situations, different days. It's going to be a different situation for these wide receivers. And what the mainstream are doing is copying and pasting based on last year. That's not what I'm doing here. This is how I think that the top 10 wide receivers list is going to finish, not necessarily how it's going to be based on last year. So no copy and paste here. And again, this is non-consensus. I'm just talking about the guys that could potentially finish in the top 10. But also, even though I've got them in the top 10, I still think some of these guys are going to get hurt. I think things are going to happen. You always have to have a backup plan for a backup plan, all right? Very, very important. So we're going to talk about it. I'm excited. Full Fantasy Football is here, the #1 fantasy football podcast. Make sure you guys subscribe, thumbs up. We're talking top 10 wide receivers right here, right now. Let's get into it. All right, guys, welcome to the show. Drop a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And drop a comment below today. Let me know what you guys think of the list. Are these guys going to make the top 10? Am I crazy? What am I thinking here? Let me know in the comments. Love to hear it. Guys, I'm always ahead of the curve. A guy in the top 10 here, AMON-RA St. Brown last year, was well outside the top 10. Everybody had him outside the top 10 last year. He was coming off in the 4th round. Now he's coming off in the 2nd round, for example. Things don't work out as planned, right? As like the consensus plan, the copy and paste. You got to think outside the box. Cooper Kupp, I told you to fade him last year. I said he's coming off a pinnacle year. Sure enough, he got hurt. I said, I was right. A decline was imminent. And an injury does count, right? An injury does count. If injuries don't count, Cooper Kupp would be on top #1 again this year, but he's not. He's not the #1 receiver. Why? Because he got injured. And they always say injuries don't count, but they're lying. They're always lying to you guys. Always, constantly. It's never ending, okay? So I'm here to tell you the truth. I'm here to say it how it is so you guys actually win your leagues. Now, make sure if you guys actually do want to win your leagues, grab the 16-round draft solution. Use code SMASH to save. I've linked it below, guys. 16 rounds is the ultimate game changer, guys. Sleepers, breakouts, optimal players drafted in each round. Everything you guys need. Printable cheat sheet is going to be there for you. Everything. It's a video training, guys. I walk you through how to draft that optimal roster. Grab the 16-round draft solution right now. I've linked it below. Secure the solution, secure the championship right now at thefantasyfootballaccounts.com under programs. And also join the Patreon group, patreon.com/FF Counselor, guys. This is the in-season content. We go all year round, actually. You can stay all year. Amazing community. You got everything from waiver wire, DFS, everything in the Patreon group. Join the front lines. Fantasy Frontlines at patreon.com/FF Counselor, guys. This is going to be for your in-season, your starts and sits, your direct access, the only place I'm giving direct access. All right, guys? All right, let's dive into this. Patreon, 16 rounds. You'll be light years ahead of the competition. They won't even know what hit them. All right, we're going to go 10 down to 1 here. Let's start off with the first one here. Drake London. Yes, I feel Drake London can finish as a top 10 wide receiver this year. The talent is there. The opportunity is there. They acquired Bijan Robinson, who's going to be distracting the defenses. Probably going to see some stacked boxes, which is going to open things up to the only prime receiver there in Drake London with the Atlanta Falcons. Now, am I saying because he's top 10, you got to draft this guy in the 2nd round? No, you draft him at his ADP. What I'm saying is that he could finish in the top 10. Love the talent. That's how much I'm convinced that he's going to be the man this year, and he's going to get a ton of volume going his way. Last year, 117 targets, only 4 touchdowns, 866 yards. But again, they were kind of figuring out their identity last year. At the end of the year, he was able to build that rapport with Desmond Ridder. That's going to carry over to this season. Preseason week 2, he had an amazing catch by a sideline. He looks good. And again, there's no one there. They've got Kyle Pitts there. Is he going to stay healthy? Hopefully he does, for the benefit of Drake London, so that Drake London is open enough and Pitts is drawing some of that coverage. But yeah, Drake London, Gonna be a beast this year. And there's a lot of wide receivers. And that I want to go on disclaimer here. Christian Watson could finish top 10. Quentin Johnson, the rookie, could finish top 10. Tank Dell could finish top 10. I know this is extreme. Like, Joe, come on. Tank Dell's undrafted. He's got a rookie quarterback to him. Yeah, I know it's a bit of a reach, but anything is possible, guys. So in 16 rounds, I make sure you draft a couple safe guys and a bunch of guys that could have that major upside. I'll tell you exactly where to draft them so that you're covered at the wide receiver position. You know who the breakouts are. When they do break out, there's no waiver wire wonder for you guys. I knew that. You can be first to the waiver wire, or you have them already stashed on your bench, all right? This is the advantage of 16 rounds that nobody else gives you. They'll just rank Tank Dell 110, which is where he's sitting right now, 105 or whatever. He goes undrafted, and then boom, you miss out on him, right? And that's the thing. Oh, he's a waiver wire wonder. I'm like, dude, I've been talking about him since May. And that's just an example. We're talking wide receivers. We're talking sleeper wide receivers here. But the point I'm trying to make is here, guys, you got to think outside the box. You got to know when to hold him, know when to fold him. All right. So number 10, Drake London, a lovely upside. And again, don't draft him in the second round. That's not what I'm saying. Get him at his ADP. I'm just saying I love him. He's got the top 10 potential. I also want to make a note here. Okay. Jalen Waddle. This is very important, guys. Pay attention. Jalen Waddle finished 8th. Devontae Smith finished 9th. They're outside of my top 10, but they're very high on the consensus rankings. And T. Higgins finished 19th. These guys are coming off rounds 2 and 3, typically, okay? It's not going to happen that Waddle and Hill are going to finish top 10 2 years in a row, and Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown are going to finish top 10. Get that out of your mind. It's an anomaly that they even finished in the top 10 together, but the mainstream are copying and pasting, right? I'm fading Devontae Smith. I'm fading T. Higgins. I'm fading Jalen Waddle. Again, T. Higgins did not finish top 10. Even though he played pretty much every game of the season, JAMARR Chase was still the one there. So again, always aim high in the depth chart when you're getting wide receiver. This is why I wait on wide receiver, because you're drafting these guys early, thinking they're going to do what they did last year, which was an anomaly year. Very unlikely they're going to do it again. Okay, injuries happen, things shift, things move, things change. Okay, all right. So number 10, I got Drake London, and then number 9 here, guys, I've got CeeDee Lamb at number 9. All right. CeeDee Lamb is a guy that is primed for another workload type year. Last year, 156 targets, 1,339 yards, 9 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb is a guy that's ultra talented. I mean, Dak Prescott throws a lot of picks, but that doesn't really concern CeeDee Lamb. It's not going to affect his numbers. CeeDee Lamb is a guy, again, finished 6th last year. Sitting 6th right now on the consensus rankings, was top 10 last year. Again, am I drafting CeeDee Lamb? I'm missing out on him. His ADP is a little high for me, but again, he has that top 10 finish. I mean, who do they got there now? I mean, no one. Oh, Gallup, but what's Gallup going to do? Cooks. Listen, this is the man here, okay? He's the alpha on the team. He's young. He's dynamic. I believe he's going for a contract here. CeeDee Lamb's a guy, again, I'm personally staying away from, but he has that upside. He has that talent, okay? CeeDee Lamb. All right, got him at number 9. Chris Olave at number 8. I feel Chris Olave, if in the groove, can finish ahead of everybody else that I mentioned, even guys that are not on this list, including guys like Waddle, including T. Higgins, Devontae Smith, all those guys. Olave's in a great opportunity with Derek Carr. Listen, I'm not a fan of Derek Carr, but he does produce. Did a great job with Devontae Adams last year. And again, Olave, in a mess of a situation he was in last year, 1,042 yards, 4 touchdowns, 119 targets. He's going to get more targets. He's going to get more volume. He's going to have a better year. That was his rookie year last year. Olave is currently sitting 12th right now. I got him at 8. I think the ceiling is there. And I talked about this on the other shows. I talked about it with Jim. The only thing that can hinder Olave, which I don't think will happen, is the fact that Michael Thomas comes back. He emerges. It becomes force-fed by Carr, and they're constantly in that groove, and he becomes the one. But very unlikely, because years to wow us, we're not wowed. Thomas has fallen off the cliff, over the hill. He says he's playing with a chip on his shoulder this year, but Olave around 2 to 3, great value, and he's in a good position to succeed, okay? Coming at number 7, and again, this guy was round 4 last year, well outside the top 10. I said draft him, the opportunity is there. And he's going to be as safe as they come at wide receiver. You get to spend a second-round pick this year. The guy's AMON-RA St. Brown, sitting 7th on the consensus rankings, 146 targets, 106 receptions. over 1,000 yards. He's a guy that's going to be constantly fed. I'd like to see his touchdowns go up. I believe he had like 6 last year. I want to see that go up. Jameson Williams was suspended till week 7-ish, so he's got that opportunity to continue that rapport. They added JAMARR Gibbs. They've got a running game that's going to distract the defenses, bring them in a little bit, hopefully open things up for AMON-RA. I do like the addition of Sam Laporta, who's in camp showing that he's the second target there right now for Jared Goff. But when you look at a guy who's going to get a lot of volume, you're talking PPR, you're talking consistency, AMON-RA St. Brown's the man. And again, this is why I waited on wide receiver, because I waited on wide receiver last year, got this guy round 4 after I went robust RB. I was rock solid, and you can get that this year from other guys like Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. One of those guys is going to go off. There's so much value at wide receiver. There's so many wide receiver ones you can get later. You want to wait on wide receiver, okay? Some of these guys are going to fall off. They're in my top 10, but I don't really feel warm and fuzzy about them, which I'll get to in a second, including the next guy. But, AMON-RA St. Brown, as safe as they come, round 2 pick, all right? Coming at number 6, Tyreek Hill. I mean, he's coming off such a pinnacle year. 1,700 yards, 170 targets. Very, very hard to duplicate. And then you got to trust Tua, who kind of looks a little bit out of shape. We saw him out of, off season, looks a little out of shape. You got people criticizing him, saying he ate too many hamburgers or whatever. Listen, either way, you got the question mark of, Tyreek Hill. I remember when he was on the Chiefs, he was very inconsistent. Hot game, off game, hot game, off game. A little more consistent with the Dolphins. They are really, at the time of this recording, really questioning their running back situation. They're trying to, bring in Jonathan Taylor. I mean, that could help if they bring in an ace running back like a Taylor or something like that. That's going to help Hill a little bit more, open things up. And they got Waddle there too. Waddle, I'm staying away, like you guys already talked about that. Again, Hill is a safe guy. I mean, he's got the speed, he's got the talent, he's going to get the volume. Barring any type of injury, he's got to be in the top 10. I personally am fading him. Again, I'm fading all wide receivers pretty much in round 1, but again, a safe option if you are looking at a wide receiver, okay? Number 5, A.J. Brown. And again, him and, Smith both finished top 10. Not going to happen again. But 1,496 yards, very touchdown dependent with those 11 touchdowns. I think that continues. Barring any type of injury, him and Hurts are going to continue to connect. I got A.J. Brown sitting at number 5. Am I drafting him? No. Should you draft him? If you want a wide receiver, he's a safe guy at the end of round 1. Totally up to you. But I got to put him here in the top 10. Jalen Hurts is just too good. And A.J. Brown is good. These guys have connected. And that goes to show you how important a quarterback is to the success of a wide receiver. Because, again, A.J. Brown had the opportunity to shine in Tennessee, never did. Goes to Jalen Hurts, and A.J. Brown and him are connecting. So, very important. Quarterbacks really do make wide receivers. It's very important, okay? Coming at number 4, speaking about a quarterback making a wide receiver, this guy is 17th on the consensus rankings. I think he finishes as a top 5 receiver, Calvin Ridley, okay? Nobody's got him in the top 10, and I believe he'll crack the top 10 if fed consistently. They got Christian Kirk. They got other options there out of the backfield, including ATN and Bigsby. But 1,374 yards is where he was when he was playing in 2020, 9 touchdowns. This is when he was lining up with Julio Jones. And if people are saying, well, Joe, Julio Jones drew the double coverage that year, blah, blah, blah. I went back and looked. Julio Jones actually only played 9 games. He was banged up that year. And Calvin Ridley really stood out, really stepped up is the word I'm trying to find. So if the fact that he did that and he showed that, and I think he gets a major upgrade at quarterback. Again, people are still questioning how good Trevor Lawrence is. I think he's ultra elite. So you look at a quarterback in Lawrence, young, hungry, finally settled into his own, and you've got Calvin Ridley coming back with a chip on his shoulder. I mean, this could be absolutely fantastic. I just think that they have to get the volume to him consistently, and look out, Calvin Ridley's a top 5 wide receiver. Got him there. And am I saying draft him in the first round? No, that's not what I'm saying. Get him at his ADP. Round 3 is typically where he's coming off in a 12-person league. Get him there if you want him, but he's got that type of ceiling this year. Again, with upside comes risk. That's part of it. He's a bit of a risk, but again, make sure you guys have a backup plan for a backup plan, which I teach in 16 rounds. Grab that 16-round draft, so you'll be light years out of the competition. Coming at number 3, and I think he will decline this year. I don't think 3 is where he'll finish anyway. But again, we're barring any type of injuries. Justin Jefferson, 1,800 yards, 8 touchdowns. We're saying, Joe, why is he going to fall off? Because he had such a pinnacle year last year. And am I predicting injury? No. I can't predict injury here, but I'm saying he's been so perfect for so long, something's bound to go wrong. Okay, I'm not, again, oh, Joe, you wish injury. No, I'm not wishing anything. I'm just saying he's been perfect so long. something's bound to happen. They brought in Jordan Addison, drafted him in the first round. Obviously, they've got a good backup in Addison. They've got Hawkinson there. Am I saying things are going to change? Maybe. Dalvin Cook's gone. I don't know about their running back situation. I don't know if Madison can take the load. Some things have changed and shifted, but coming off such a pinnacle 1,800-yard receiving season, it's very unlikely it's going to happen again. And it is just simple change in defenses. Maybe defenses double cover more, make it harder, and Addison steps up. But again, he's safe. I'm not expecting the same type of year out of him. I'm fading him completely. I recommend him in 16 rounds if you want that safe wide receiver, but I'm also recommending you go running back instead. But again, I cannot predict injury, but I just feel Jefferson not as good as last year, okay? Number 2, Garrett Wilson. Nobody's got this guy number 2. He's sitting number 10. I just think the ceiling for Garrett Wilson is higher than Jefferson this year. He's got a better quarterback throwing to him. I think the talent is just as good or even better. 1,103 receiving yards last year, 147 targets, only 4 touchdowns. The guy had Mike White and Joe Flacco throwing the ball, and Zach Wilson. I don't know what else to tell you other than, no way but up for Garrett Wilson. I think the sky's the limit. He's a second-round pick. You get better value than Jefferson with a higher ceiling. Love myself Garrett Wilson this year. Okay, round 2 if you want him. And number 1, I got to go with JAMARR Chase here, guys. Make sure you guys subscribe, thumbs up. Let me know what you guys think of this. Make sure you guys do smash that thumbs up and get 16 rounds. Listen, JAMARR Chase, 9 touchdowns, 1,046 yards last year, finished 11th. This guy played 12 games and was still the number 1 target for Joe Burrow. 134 targets, 87 receptions. Guys, listen, everyone's telling you Higgins round 3. I'm saying fade Higgins, okay? Higgins played a full season. JAMARR Chase was out and still couldn't finish top 10. Why are you drafting Higgins? Don't go for the beta on the team. Always go for the alpha. And I feel JAMARR Chase's ceiling, he finished what? 11th, guys, last year, and he played 12 games. Can you imagine a full season? I mean, we're talking close to a 2,000-yard receiving season once fully healthy if he plays a full season. The sky's the limit. JAMARR Chase is my number 1. Again, I feel safer with him because, he's on an upward trend, and Jefferson's on a downward trend. He's got to kind of look to kind of skate to where the puck's going to be, not to where the puck is right now, and that's where everybody's rankings are, the consensus rankings they're lying to. That's why I wear a no sheep shirt, guys. I don't do what they do. I don't do it just to be different. I do it because I'm right every year by saying that they're wrong. Does that make sense? I'm right every year by saying they're wrong because they end up being wrong. DeAndre Swift, top 8 running back last year, right? Cooper Kupp, first overall wide receiver. I'm like, dude, something's going to happen. Decline. Oh, well, Joey was on pace. I don't care. Fact of the matter is what goes up must come down. It's very hard to duplicate those seasons. Now, with wide receiver, it's a little more obtainable. With running backs, not so hard. We saw Antonio Brown consecutive years finish near the top. Running back, Priest Holmes was the last time a running back finished 2 years on a row. 2002, 2003, Priest Holmes finished on top at running back position 2 years in a row. It's very unlikely, guys, all right, that they finish on top. Things change, things shift, offensive changes, quarterback changes, everything changes, okay? Defenses key in on these receivers. They don't want to, they don't want them to get the ball as much, right? They key in, last year this guy, rocked me. He was outperforming me. I got to double cover him. So things change, guys. You got to be able to adapt to those changes. I do that for you in the 16-round draft session. Get it below, guys. You'll be light years out of competition. I do the rankings for entertainment purposes, not so much rankings you got to worry about. You got to know who the optimal players are to draft in each round and have a backup plan and make sure your roster is optimal so that you're secure at every position. Okay, guys? That's what I do. Now, some people may have felt insecure last year drafting AMON-RA as their wide receiver 1 in the 4th round, but we had a backup plan and he did well. That's what we do, guys. Does it make sense? Is it clicking in? Do not follow rankings. They will not help you. All right, guys? Subscribe, thumbs up. Those are your fantasy football wide receiver rankings 2023. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Thumbs up, guys. I appreciate you guys. And get the 16-round draft. So should be light years out of the competition. No sheep, guys. Don't listen to the consensus. It will not help you guys. I appreciate you. We'll talk soon. Top 10 wide receivers for you. Think outside the box.